Welcome to another episode of Rule the Galaxy podcast. This is our May the 4th special, and we have the Rule the Galaxy After Dark crew. If you ever listen to our House of the Dragon episodes, tonight it's me, D Doc, Brent, and Alfie. And we're just going to have a fun show here tonight. We're just going to talk about anything Star Wars under the sun, or two suns. But was that good?
I see what you did there. That was really good.
Was it good?
Yeah,
Brent
oh
saying
yeah,
no.
that's great.
That was I'm cutting off. This is going to be like my intro. When we saw Return of the Jedi in theaters, my daughter, she's going to be 5 years old very soon. You know how sometimes kids will just say something out loud in the movie theater, like just not even thinking. They'll just say it like regular speaking voice. She goes, "There's two sons." She said that. There's two sons. I was just like, yes, there are. Be quiet. But let's go around the horn and see how you guys are doing. So, Alfie, I'll start with you. What's going on? Happy May the 4th.
Hey, happy May the 4th. That's another good Thursday. We had some T-ball tonight. It's really making Thursdays a rush to get here, but it's worth it. We had a lot of fun. A pretty good Star Wars day. Can't really complain. A lot of good stuff came out today. Lots of stuff to talk about tonight.
Absolutely. What's going on with you, Brent?
I'm doing good. I'm doing better than I was last week. So I'm not sure how much of my frustration with my daughter came through. I didn't listen because it was a cringy moment and I didn't want to go back and relive all of that. So I don't have to do any fifth grade math this week. She doesn't have any homework, and so I'm free to chat it up. But I feel bad because I know I kind of snapped a little bit at her, and I think you guys heard me snap a little bit at her. So.
It really wasn't so much the snap, but uh, you know, I recognized the dad face right away, so I knew what was going on.
So anybody who listened last week, I do have to apologize. I apologized to her as soon as I got off, and I was like, "Look, now I can focus on you because you're more important. Because yes, helping my child is more important." But I was just frustrated that I was sitting at home for 2 hours, and then she decides to walk up and ask me to help her out right when this starts. So it's like you had 2 hours, you could have talked to me.
Yep, absolutely. That's the
So
dad life, right?
right, right. It just so happens. So. So other than that, I don't have that to deal with. I actually just played my game. I had a little bit of time. I played two games and I won one and lost one. So I had to beat Ahsoka. She's not out yet, but a guy's playing like all of her stats and everything are released. So I had to kill Ahsoka a couple times.
Ooh.
And Lando. He was using Lando and Ahsoka together in a team. They got some combos that are kind of interesting.
So I have a question. Did any of you guys see Return of the Jedi in theaters on this little run that it's doing?
I did not.
No? Brent, have you seen it?
I have not. I haven't been to the theater in a hot minute. I think with the Way of the Water was the last one. I think we might be trying to set something up for this weekend to go see the
Guardians?
No, we're a couple movies behind. It would be the Super Mario movie.
Oh, that's a great one.
Because my daughter was talking to somebody and she says, I want to see that. So we might set something up to go see it sometime this weekend.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun watching that movie. I mean, that's something that you'll have fun watching as a parent and, for the kids. The kids will love it.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It's a good movie.
Yeah, I randomly on Sunday just was like, I'm looking at my phone and I actually saw Okairo tweeted that he saw it in theaters, and I'm like, you know what? I'm like, I'm doing nothing but working around the house today. I said to the kids, I'm like, you guys want to go to the movies? They're like, yeah. We let mom have some time at home with just her and the baby, and I took the two kiddos and we went and saw it. And you know what? I never realized how long the part in Jabba's palace feels when you're sitting there with a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old, actually.
Yeah, that's a long opening act of a movie.
It really is. I never thought any differently of it. I always just watched it. But like I hyped the kids up. We're going and seeing a Star Wars movie and everything, and not much action happens in the big beginning chunk of that. You know what I mean? It's like obviously the story is being told, and it doesn't bother me much, but like, I hyped the kids up to go see Star Wars, and I could tell, you know, all they know is that this big slug is mumbling, even though my son can read the subtitles now, but they just know this slug is mumbling and just had no clue what was going on.
Okay, so the question I'm going to ask then is, how did they react to my least favorite addition to the special editions? And can you guess what I feel like is my least favorite out of all three shows? The least favorite addition.
Is that the Ewoks blink?
Nope.
It might be my least favorite. It's probably that performance by the singing girl.
Yeah,
I was trying to think of something other than that. That was.
It is the absolute worst.
That's the worst.
So, how did the 5-year-old and the 7-year-old, 5, 6, 7,
6 and a 4-year-old, soon to be 5. So
okay,
we'll call them 6 and 5.
All right. So, how did the 6 and 5-year-old react to that? Did they like it?
They didn't care. It's not like it brought them into it anymore. To be honest, like their most engaging parts of the movie were on Endor, of course, and just the final battle between Luke and Vader. Like they just were in on that.
How did they react when the one Ewok bent over shaking the other Ewok?
I don't know that they noticed that the other one was down.
Okay.
I was wondering about that.
Okay, because that still brings a tear to my eye.
Yeah, that part's sad. Because Harper on my right was getting a little squirmy as we were watching it. She was kind of like, there were some points where she was kind of like, okay, but she was afraid of the Emperor before this movie. She
should be.
Yeah, he's scary.
And she said,
he's creepy.
When he came on in the movie in the theater, she said, I'm not afraid of him anymore. I'm just like, all right. I'm like, maybe Luke is rubbing off on her a little bit. She sees that Luke Skywalker is not afraid.
How did she feel when he said, do it?
She doesn't like when I do his voice. I always do the voice and tell her to come to the dark side. I'm always like, come to the dark side.
Do it. Strike me down. Give in to your anger.
Yeah, give in to your anger. Strike him down. He's great in that, though. So now here's my question, because this is something that I always get myself confused on. Ian McDiarmid, was he playing the Emperor when the original movies were being filmed? This is probably a stupid question.
Which, now you're going to have to back that up. Okay. Because not in Empire.
Correct.
But he was Return of the Jedi.
He was the original Emperor when you see him as an actual character and not as a hologram.
Right.
So every actual being of him is McDiarmid. Now everything is McDiarmid. But there was like somebody else that played the son of Skywalker must not survive.
It was actually a woman with like a chimpanzee's face.
Yeah, there's like a big bulge on the head, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was great to see it in theaters also. Just to sit there and see the Star Wars scroll on the big screen, the old movies.
I think from, seeing the special editions, it really struck me how much I didn't enjoy the movie as much as I did when I was a little kid.
Return of the Jedi?
Yeah.
I think
Return of the Jedi is probably the first movie that I can remember from beginning to end seeing. Like, I remember seeing other movies, but not being like fully immersed in the experience of seeing a movie. Return of the Jedi is the first one. So in my mind, I always put it, so high on the pedestal of being of a great movie. But then going and seeing it again, that opening is really long. And then the second act really kind of drags out quite a bit.
I would say it's slower. I've always said my favorite has always been Empire, but I don't know if it's because I feel it's because of the Hoth battle at the beginning. You feel like you're dropped into something but I don't think it. From my personal perspective, I think Return is slow, and I think all
Absolutely.
three of them all three of them compared to modern movies are slow. But I think Return of the Jedi, I feel like, has like the slowest. There are parts that are fast. There's parts that like right fast or more intense. There are parts that are fast, but I feel like it like I like the scenes, but they're slow. Like the scenes with
Right.
him
I
and
would
Vader,
agree.
him and Vader are like with Luke and Vader on the in the elevator or getting off the elevator on Endor. It's a little bit slower. Um, the whole Ewok village with Luke and Leia talking. It's slow, but it's very intriguing, but it is slow.
Yeah, it definitely is. I agree.
Okay, you brought up a good point. This is something I've always wondered. Luke and Vader get off of or Luke and the Imperial officers and stormtroopers get off of the Imperial Walker on the second floor of that station. So if it's full of troopers and they are like on Hoth, how did the troopers get out of it? Because there's no station for the Walker to walk up to. I've always wondered that.
So you're talking about so following it, you're saying the AT-AT
Right.
walks up to the indoor base and they get off because it's at the same level as where the side compartment is.
Right.
Yes.
You're asking then how did they get onto the ground when they said Imperial troops have entered the base? Imperial troops have entered the base.
Yeah,
So
that's
how did
exactly what I'm saying.
Okay. So I'm going to go with my headcanon has always been when General Veers calls to Vader, the shield will be down in moments. You may start your landing. That they came from something else. I always felt that there was some other ship that was now able to land because they took out the shield generator, that they didn't actually come out of the AT-ATs.
But that's kind of what the name implies that they are. I mean, I get what you're saying too. That is a possibility. But it's an armored transport.
Yeah, but what's it what does it transport? It can transport
troops.
Is it troops or is it other armored vehicles? Is
Well,
it
like when,
dropping out ATSTs?
When Luke and the officer get out, you can clearly see other troops inside the Imperial Walker.
Okay, so that is something that I've always wondered. Is where the hell was this taking place at? That getting off the elevator? Because I just assumed that they got taken. I didn't think they were on a walker. I thought
Luke and the officer were on a walker, and they pull up to the station and meet Vader there. Then they get into a shuttle and go up to the Death Star. So
you're talking. So this is where as I've watched this many probably fewer less times than you, the AT-AT that they show walking up to the base. You're saying that had Luke in it.
Yes.
I never thought that. I'm telling you, sitting here right now, I thought that was just an establishing shot that showed AT-ATs walking around on Endor.
Yeah, no, it walks up to the base, and then the scene flips from Vader's perspective, and the door on the side of the walker opens up. They walk out.
Yes, so I thought that was this is why I said that. I felt that they walked in on the bottom of the base, got out of an elevator on the floor that Vader was at. I didn't think that they were getting off of the AT-AT. I'm going to watch it again just to see.
I'm going to try to bring it up right now, actually. I mean, we have the capabilities. We can do it.
I mean, it takes 3 years to get to this point, but we're here finally. But I never saw it that way. I just saw that as an establishing shot. Never thought that was him getting off of an AT-AT.
I could be wrong.
No, and you probably are right. Like, I could be wrong. I'm just telling you, in the years that I've watched this, I never thought that was connected. I thought that was just to show the power of the Empire walking around, and that was just to show you the dish and the landing pad.
Let's watch it. Let's watch it, boys. Let's it's May the 4th. Anything goes. I think I have the right scene here. So let's bring it up.
By the way, this is slightly amazing, the fact that we can sit and watch.
That's really cool.
Now, right, this might be.
So is this Vader land? So in your mind, right, headcanon, this is Vader landing,
right?
Or is this just another shuttle?
No, that's Vader landing.
Okay, and you're saying that AT down there on the left is the one that's carrying Luke.
Right? See, there's Vader coming out of the shuttle.
Now, I need to say, when I just saw it in theaters, I never noticed that AT-AT before in my life until I just saw it in theaters. I don't know why. I probably did as a kid and didn't even think about it, but when I was just watching it in theaters, I was just like, oh, look at that. There's an AT-AT down there. Why didn't they just start crushing the Ewoks there to start opening fire?
I would think that you probably have some difficulty with the terrain. Would be the
Yes. How
Or
did
you
they
couldn't
navigate the planet?
I mean, you
in
probably
there?
couldn't find them too because the AT-AT is taking out big things, and these Ewoks are the size of Womp Rants in their T-16
Yeah.
back home.
That's true.
They're not much
I like-
bigger than 2 meters.
I like what you did there, Brent. That was nice.
There
Right,
it
so
is.
this is the one
Okay.
I'm talking about. Right, so you're saying Luke is inside that thing.
Yeah.
I never made that connection. Because, see, there's Vader coming down from the elevator from top, and you're saying that this is the AT-AT opening up. I'm saying
Oh,
it's
right
just
there.
It is.
I'm saying it's just the elevator.
Look at that.
This is a rebel that surrendered to us. Although he denies it, I believe there may
I never saw that as the AT-AT. I saw that as an elevator.
the area.
Because I saw both of them coming out of an elevator, and they were just making the exchange on that bridge.
Good work, Commander. Leave us. Conduct your search.
Yeah, that's
So here's the deal: when that thing walks away, though, you're telling me when that AT-AT walks away, that's just going to be open to the air.
yep. There's the head of it actually. Yeah.
You can see when it walks up that's open to the air.
You can see the front cockpit technically right there, right on the left
Yeah.
side.
Yeah.
Dude, I don't know why my brain
I'm
just
today
melts
years
every
old.
time
I
see
am
this
today
stuff.
years old with this happening. Just like it's one of those moments.
Well, and to flip it around, I mean, I know because I think about this stuff too much because
I know.
I think too, like, what did they like throw down a rope or something and like they have to wait like one by one as they climb up? And Luke has
I'm
to
still
climb
gonna-
up by himself too.
I'm getting.
Get up. Maybe it kneels down like a camel. Like, get in.
That's why I always thought it was an elevator because they were coming in on the ground floor and never thought the AT-AT was delivering Luke.
I
Interesting.
still thought it was an elevator, even though I saw the AT-AT in the theater. I didn't realize
That's what
that
I'm
they were
telling
getting
you.
out of it. Like, it's
Hey,
crazy.
D-Doc, I'm just telling you, we're on the safe wavelength here. Like, and I'm sure Steve Glosson is shaking his head and is like, how are these guys Star Wars fans? But that's
I love that
All right.
sound.
I see you have constructed a new
all right. So we could sit here and watch this and it'll be no fun for anybody else. So get rid of that because, like, all of us will just zone in on that. And you know I'm right.
Do you know how
Okay.
badass of a hero in a movie you have to be for the bad guy to, draw his sword behind you and not flinch, not turn around, just keep your cool,
Yep, I agree.
and not just any bad guy. It's Darth freaking Vader is standing behind you.
I think that's probably what makes Return of the Jedi so good is Luke's demeanor throughout it. Because as you're saying, that is a slow movie, and it's something I felt when I just watched it. And it's like, I don't know if it's because I was in theaters, because I've watched it at home, and it doesn't feel as slow to me for some reason. But maybe it's because at home I can get distracted and do whatever. But yeah, I don't know.
Well,
During the theaters, I was like, damn, some of this stuff actually drags out. Like, I don't know. I know we're beating a dead horse probably with that, but.
Yeah, it's the pacing of it. Like, yes, they're great movies. I love them. They remind me of nostalgia, remind me of my childhood. I watch them all the time. But I
It
think
has
all
a
of
very
them are slow.
redeeming third act that kind of counteracts the slowness of the second act.
I mean, as soon as he makes it to the throne room, that picks up and everything goes.
Absolutely. That's when it hits. I mean, I feel like Empire Strikes Back has good pacing, honestly, because I feel like that movie is constantly moving. I feel like it's always one scene to the next. They're like, I feel like everybody is on adventure throughout that, so I feel like it really keeps your eye on it. I mean, in Jedi, I just feel like it's easy to almost like kind of drift in the first act of it sometimes, actually.
Yeah, and it kind of takes away when you separate Luke from everyone else, because that makes Leia and Han's story in Jedi kind of seem less significant. So to me, it makes their parts kind of drag a little bit until you get to the third act.
Absolutely. So, all right, I guess we can move on from Jedi, but it was fun seeing it in the theater with the kids and having them experience one of the original trilogy Star Wars movies in theaters. One other topic I wanted to bring up, just like it doesn't, we don't need to spend too much time on it, but I just done the audio book about Bob Iger being the CEO of Disney, and pretty much it's all about his build up to becoming the CEO of Disney, where he worked before. What was the name of the sports station that he worked for before? Because it wasn't ESPN, it was Worldwide of Sports or something like that. I don't know. Is that what it was called? Just Worldwide of Sports? Wide World of Sports, I mean.
That's ABC's old TV show. Is that what he was? Yeah.
Yes. ABC's Wide World of Sports. He was running that. That was his first big step up to where he became in charge of ABC. And then Michael Eisner bought ABC when he was the CEO of Disney. So that's how Iger got into Disney, was when they bought ABC, and then they created ESPN and all that interesting stuff. But yeah, the chapter on Star Wars was really interesting to me because while Iger was CEO, they obviously bought Marvel, which that was an interesting story too, because there was some random guy. I mean, he's not a random guy. To me, he was a random guy who was running Marvel at the time that they bought it off of, and he was still in place for a while. But there was L.A. Marvel and New York Marvel, and they merged all of them into one. But it just seemed like they had their hands and their noses in Star Wars so much when they were buying it compared to everything else. I can't help but to feel that way. It seems like they were obsessive about it, and it really didn't cost as much money as some of the other stuff that they bought, which kind of bothers me. I mean, it's funny because $4 billion sounds cheap to what they bought Fox for.
Alfie, do we want to bring up the Marvel versus Lucasfilms conversation that we always have?
And I think I do a pretty good job of saying that it's not fair to compare the two, but it's only natural to compare the two.
Correct. I agree. I think one of the major things, the reason why they bought it for more, is they actually had legit. See, this is where we get into the talk of development versus production versus everything else, right? They bought it when they were 8 films in of the 22 films, and they knew that I don't know if they knew they were going to be 22, but they knew there was at least a solid 10 or 11 more, right? They bought it anticipating, with scripts written, directors there. They were they were past the speculative phases.
Right. There was a definite roadmap with Marvel.
Correct. And they had already squared it out, and there was 11 or so at least, and it ended up being 22 movies. So they knew that the investment was going to pay off in the end when they invested in Marvel. Lucasfilms, and this is the argument that I didn't read the book. I've heard people react to the book. But when they went to go buy Lucasfilms, he wanted money, and he wanted enough money. And look, he deserves the $4 billion that he got. But he didn't have any of that roadmap at all.
No.
There was nothing in place. And then they said, hey, we want to give you $2.5 billion. He's like, wait, it's worth more. You just paid $7 or $8 billion for this. Well, I'm worth more than that. I'm my merchandising. In his mind, my merchandising and the franchise is worth more than that. He's like, yeah. And then they came back to him with, yeah, but they have this coming down the road. You don't have anything. And then so in my mind, and I'm not a huge Lucas is the supreme being and can do no wrong, but he slapped something together, and that's the way I'm going to look at it. Is he slapped something together to try to increase the price that he could sell, and then got upset that they didn't want to keep it because he just slapped something together and didn't have a lot of thought, production, all of that stuff behind it. That's the way that I'm interpreting it from the way that I've heard the story.
I would say that's a pretty fair interpretation. And I think it really all goes back to this idea of theirs that they could start over and do their own thing. And
Right.
like I keep saying, new ideas are hard. We all think we have like this really good Star Wars idea. And I think most people probably have a few good ideas that we could, make something out of, merge them, whatever, that we could develop into something. But at the end of the day, it's so easy once you get into these ideas and you look at your final product and you say, well, crap, I just remade A New Hope. Like my hero is totally Luke Skywalker. And here's Han Solo and Chewie and a couple droids and a princess, and I'm just as guilty because I can remember seeing The Phantom Menace, right? And I'm sitting in the theater. It's been 20 years. And in the first 15 minutes of this movie, I'm looking around going, what the fuck is this? This is not Star Wars. Well, where's Luke Skywalker? Where's the Millennium Falcon and Obi-Wan Kenobi and, all this other stuff. But that's not how we want to be. You know what I'm saying? We want new stuff. But then again, when you see the new stuff, you're like, well, this isn't right.
Right.
Who are these weird alien guys talking? And when these robots and stuff that, it just, I don't know. It's a double-edged sword. There was a nice little film that played for a while at Hollywood Studios that had pretty extensive interviews with Gareth Edwards while he was making Rogue One. And he really talked about how hard making that movie was because you have to, toe that line of it has to be new enough, but then it has to be familiar enough. Because if you make it too new, it's just not going to feel right. But if you follow the same old pattern, it's not going to be new enough, and you're going to be dogged into, saying, "Hey, you just remade it."
And you're living up to probably the most iconic 3 movies. You're being compared to the most iconic 3 movies of a generation.
Right.
I mean, like the one, at least 77. A New Hope is probably one of the top 100, if not top 5 of the top 100 movies for the impact that it had on movie making, the impact that it's had on pop culture, the impact that it had all over the place. So everything is going to get measured by those 3 movies, like back to those 3 movies. And yeah, it's daunting, and it's almost impossible to live up to with the way that the fan base is so rabid for it.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not that we're bad fans because I think that's all over. But I think for the most part, we're pretty good fans. There's a lot of complaining from certain groups. And I think the minority is a lot louder than the majority. But we are very passionate. And I think that passion is mistaken a lot for being, toxic or whatever.
I think face to face, we are all the same thing, right? It's when you get keyboard warriors and it's just the same thing with political. It's the same thing with sports teams. It's the same thing like with every fan base and fandom. When you're behind a keyboard and you're impersonal and there's not that personal connection, it's not going to feel the same, and you can say whatever you want to say, and it's going to lead to you reacting the way that we react when we read things. If we're talking, everyone that we've talked to, everyone that I talk to in the school that I work at, everyone that you guys run into, all of your friends, even the ones that we just discover are Star Wars fans, there is almost like an instant friendship that comes about from that. Everybody that we've run into with ICC-Con, we're in ICC-Con month of May, last weekend in May, Memorial Day weekend. Everybody that you run into that, you feel like there is this brotherhood. There is this fraternity. There is this, I'm trying to think of something that's more inclusive, but there is this group feeling, and everyone shares that positive vibe when you see each other face to face. It's that removing that impersonal and becoming impersonal makes it easier for us to become toxic, because because you're reading something and then you automatically have a knee-jerk reaction. Whereas if you're talking to somebody, you have the knee-jerk reaction, but then you try to be nuanced with the way that you say it, and you're not having the toxic moment when I can just be toxic without dealing with the repercussions back if I'm
Yeah.
typing.
I always come back to T-Bob because that was one of the most fun shows we've ever done, and there was nothing toxic about that. That dude loves The Last Jedi, and I don't. So I'm not going to talk for other people, but it was a lot of fun, and it should be that way, when you're face to face. And there's no reason why it can't be that way, other than human nature itself. The internet is kind of, it brings out the worst in people.
Yeah.
And I just don't really see why, it just can't be that way. Why, if you don't like something, that's great. We can still talk about it. And we can still have a good time talking about it.
Yeah. I love me some Resistance. I don't know if I love me some Resistance, but I definitely liked it. I didn't like the second season, but I liked the first season. But I'm about the only one that'll sit here and tell you that.
I really didn't care for Rebels. The first 2 seasons of Rebels. I liked the last 2 seasons a lot better, but I wish we could get back to it being acceptable to say, hey, I didn't like this. There's nothing wrong with it, and I don't think like it's bad or anything.
Right.
That's just like looking at art. I can look at a painting and appreciate, aspects of it, but I don't have to like it. I can say, I don't really care for this, but I can,
it's deep.
Recognize the work that went into it or its meaning.
We invest so much in ourselves into this thing that it becomes deeply personal, right? Like there are people, I was driving with people over the weekend and they said that Jedi is one of the recognized religions from the U.S. military. You can get it on your dog tags. You can be recognized as a Jedi from the U.S. military, right? So there are people that take this deeply personal. So if you say something to them, or for whatever reason, because of how personal and how their memories are wrapped up into it, the core memories, those things are wrapped up into it. It's almost like you're insulting their core, and they respond that way, right?
Yeah.
There is a physical, gosh dang it. There's a psychological way that people react. I want to say it's like SCARP or SCALP or something like that. And basically it's an acronym, and I don't know all of it. And I'm trying to spout out some philosophy, and I'm half brained on it. Hopefully somebody's listening and knows what I'm talking about. But it's more or less things are as a status symbol. Things can be taken as and used as a status symbol. So I'm going to use an example of a teenager in their shoes. I don't understand it, but a teenager in their shoes and sneakerhead culture is like ridiculous. But if you insult their shoes, they take that as a personal attack on themselves and will react as if they are stabbed. Right? And I'm saying that there are some people that, depending upon it, everybody has that shoes or has that sneakerhead culture. And there are some fans that have the Star Wars fandom or their love of X character. And if you say something, they're going to have that, like, they're going to feel assaulted because of how much that means to them. Their psyche feels like it's being stabbed. And then they feel like they have to lash back out.
Yeah. It's funny because as you're talking about this, it's like, I think like me and my wife are starting to get to know other parents at our school now. You know what I mean? And it's like, I'm sure they're eventually going to be coming over our house to do stuff. And I have this in my basement. And it's like, for me, it's perfectly normal to me. It's perfectly normal to my wife. You know what I mean? But some people might see that and be like, this dude's got a bunch of Star Wars and Lego stuff or whatever, just a bunch of nerd shit on his walls in his basement. It's a little weird, which I think it's like, I think it's a little more acceptable now. I've found the dads that I can tell are into it already. It's like you have that side conversation and you lead into it like, you a Star Wars fan? You know what I mean? Like I've found them, they're out there. But there's definitely parents that'll be like, that's freaking weird that I have this stuff in here, which to me, it's not weird at all. But
Right, and then you'll go over to their house and they'll have all of this like china and porcelain, and they'll have like these frames of this paintings. Like everybody's got their weird niche, man. Everybody's got something. And you'll walk down there and be like, you feel uncomfortable because they have all of these like bobbleheads, not Funko Pops, because
Hey,
that's different. Not Funko Pops. I was thinking the old porcelain grandma bobbleheads from back in the day, because my great grandma used to have them, and that's what I was getting at. I wasn't talking about Funko Pops.
I've seen some weird stuff as a plumber, though, man. One thing I'll say is nude paintings. Seen a lot of those, and I feel like there's something that is eventually going to die out. I don't know if any of you guys have any nude paintings. I'm not judging you if you do, but I've seen a lot of odd nude paintings where sometimes it even looks like the person whose house I'm working in.
that's what I was going to ask you. Were they like personal?
Some of them seem very personal, man. Like,
The boudoir photo from Costanza. You saw some Costanza type boudoir photos.
Yeah, like paintings though. Like more like Rose on Titanic, I'll say.
Oh, okay.
Like the who was the woman from Parks and Rec? She had the painting above her bed of herself. Joan Cusimano, the talk show host. I can just remember that episode. But yeah, that's kind of, I don't know. That's kind of weird, D-Doc.
Yeah. I mean, the only other point I wanted to make on the Iger thing, which I think you guys took that in a really good place, was that he said that he told Abrams, like, good luck. You've got $4 billion riding on this movie. Like, and then he said, like, he regretted saying that to him. Like, because he's like, it probably put a lot of added pressure on him. Like, no shit. Here's the thing. Like, they bought Marvel, and he was like, there's so many good creatives. Like, I know it's going to work. It can go so many places. Like, he just kind of let it happen. I feel like with Star Wars, he was like, we just spent $4 billion on us. We need to make a movie right now. He essentially says that in the book. Like, we need to have 3 movies out within the next couple years. Where it's like, he should have pumped the brakes and been like, hold on a second. I own this IP now that has a rabid fan base. Why don't we? Because he already said that the parks pay for so much of what Disney does. The parks are like their biggest moneymaker, even bigger than movies or anything. Like, the parks make them a ton of money. Build a freaking Star Wars land based on what you already have. Then come out with a movie. I know the fan base is going to be like, we want a movie now too. I don't know. I just felt like he micromanaged it too much. I like Iger personally. I mean, I really enjoyed his book. I think he's a good guy. But
I mean, he ran the company and did really well. Like, I will sit there and say, like, if you want to think about Michael Eisner was a very successful CEO of Disney, and then Homeboy is next. Like, they really did not miss on much during their time, his time running and Eisner's time running.
That's why I don't, I understand the criticism of The Force Awakens. It did hit a lot of the same beats as A New Hope. But really, like you're saying, D-Doc, with that kind of investment, it kind of had to. And I think it did a really good job of, yes, hitting beats and yes, bringing nostalgia back, but really giving some, markers of, hey, this is where we're going in the future. Here's our new cast. We're going to build on this. That feeling of that last scene in the theater, seeing Luke turn around, was indescribable. It was just like electricity going through everyone. It built up, so much like hope and excitement of where this franchise was going and what the future held.
Yep, I agree.
And I think he felt that way because he bought it with nothing. Right. Again, I'm going to go back to the purchase. He bought Marvel knowing that and trusting the path, because they had been successful with the first. They had already had 5 or 6 movies. They were successful with those 5 or 6 movies. I don't know exactly where we're at. Right. So I'm throwing out 5 or 6. Wherever he bought it at, they had a run, and then he knew there was more coming. He saw that coming. He knew that the creatives were running it, and he could see that coming.
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, he knew he was buying LFL with nothing. and he knew, even though George slapped together, and I'm saying slapped together, and I know some people will be insulted because I am talking about George putting it together, but
Oh.
and there are people that talk about George like that. I mean, come on, he can miss, he can make mistakes. He slapped together something, and Iger was never going to take it.
Yeah.
Right?
And they bought it from him as a show of faith. They bought it from him
Correct.
before the deal happened. So I think that he took it as, okay, they bought my scripts. Now they're going to buy Lucasfilm. Like, because that's where they hit the hitches, was like, I think like as the deal was being made, George was like, what am I going to do? And then they're just like, we don't want you to
Count
do
your money.
anything. Yeah, that's pretty much.
Why don't
what
you
it
find a
was.
beat somewhere, old man?
What George wanted too was, he kept saying he wanted the Pixar deal, because I think Disney bought Pixar for $7 billion, and that was Steve Jobs. Which that part of the book is extremely interesting, because Steve Jobs and Disney had a very clashing relationship with each other. He hated them, actually.
So, but here's the whole story of Pixar is just crazy to me, though, because that was Industrial Light and Magic, which was an offshoot of Lucasfilm at one time, and he also created it to sell it off because he knew he knew he didn't want to keep it and run it.
Yep.
Like, he developed Pixar as a wing to help make his movies, and he knew that somebody else could run it, so he was okay with selling it, but now he wants it back.
Yeah, he wanted the deal that they got, where pretty much they were bought, but they were still able to stay independent from
Right.
Disney. The kicker was that Iger said it needs to be called Disney Pixar now. It's not just Pixar; it's going to be Disney Pixar. Which Lucasfilm, they decided not to put any Disney logos on anything. They said they wanted to just keep it Star Wars, keep it Lucasfilm, all that fun stuff. But yeah, that was the kicker, was he pretty much just said, all these other ones just had teams and movies and everything in development. Like, Pixar had like 5 bangers in development before Disney bought them. Like, they had bangers lined up. And that was what they said with George, was that he just didn't have anything ready. And then George was like cool with them, and then he did that interview and said basically he felt like he sold his child off to
slaver.
slavers. Yeah.
Right.
And then George called Iger and said he was sorry. He said, I'm just having a hard time with this.
Yeah, and that's understandable. It'd be hard to let that go. That's something you built from nothing.
You created this behemoth, and now they basically said you sold it, and they said, yeah, like, we know that we don't want you as an advisor. Just thanks, but we'll take it from here.
Yeah, and that's going to be the difference, comparing it to Marvel, because you don't buy Star Wars to make stories that were. Let me backtrack here, because this is exactly what we're doing now. You don't buy Star Wars with the intentions of doing things that someone else has already done. The whole idea behind Star Wars is making something grand and a spectacle, pushing the boundaries of technology and making something new. You're not going to buy Star Wars to do, the demon in a bottle run from Iron Man or something like that. And I'm not saying that that's not that's bad that Marvel would have that approach, because it's perfectly fine. It's a great story. It's just it's just viewed differently. Star Wars is just different, and it's hard to put it into words, or put your thumb on what exactly is so different. Just not what you would expect from a studio to just redo something or remake it. You want new ideas. And I think that, to me, is like one of the, and I don't want to get into prequel or sequel bashing. I don't want to at all, but I think that was one of the biggest letdowns of the sequels, was it really never seemed to push that technological. We've never seen something like this before. Like, even the prequels did.
So, I mean, I'm going to go back. Yes, you want us to do something new and just rehashing ideas. But if you go and break down A New Hope, it's just retelling old mythological stories as well, right?
Right.
It's just repackaging other stories, because like, at this point in our society, coming up with something that doesn't pull inspiration from something else is impossible.
Yeah. And I
Everything's
don't
gonna
mean
pull
not being
right.
inspired. I mean just saying, okay, I bought Disney, so I'm going to do my Heir to the Empire trilogy. That's going to be our first project. That's my point. Is you don't buy Disney and say, okay, let's develop Dark Empire into a movie. That's a good, let's start with that. No, you want something comparable to the original trilogy or the prequel trilogy.
And Disney thought that they could create.
And I'm not
Something-
saying they didn't do that. I'm just
No,
saying
but
that's the difference and the difficulty in,
They just expected to start new and it would take off. And they did not expect to be where we are right now.
Yeah.
and for the most part it did. You had 2 bangers right out of the gate.
Right. But then you had the poop. What is it? Taking a turd in the punch bowl, right, D-Jock?
Yeah,
The
throwing
turd,
a
like
in the punch bowl.
the turd in the punch bowl, man. Like that right there changed the course of the franchise.
Yep. And then
Without going into more details, that changed the course of the franchise.
also an interesting thing was that George handpicked Kathleen Kennedy to run everything too.
She
Yeah,
was
that
his
was-
number. She was his number 2 while he was still leading it. Like
Yeah.
She produced all of the Indiana Joneses
Yeah.
before. Like she is a good producer. She has good credits underneath her. You can argue for or against her as the head of the organization, but she's got good producing credits and she's got good movie making chops.
Yes, definitely. I mean, she does. She has a great history as far as movies she's been involved in. And another final part that I gotta say too, we can talk about something else after, is the story about the fact that they sent J.J. Abrams with The Force Awakens to Skywalker Ranch to present it to George, and George just immediately said it basically sucked. They didn't do anything new. You didn't take any of my story. Like, this is horrible. Like, I feel like JJ was out for the slaughter on that. I mean, I really do have a sweet spot for Force Awakens for myself as well. And I agree, it admits it's like A New Hope in the book too. But I mean, I do have a sweet spot for it. I think it's a damn good movie. I don't know.
If you took a child to see that movie, you feel 100% different than an adult sitting down and watching it, in my opinion. Because I could be so overly critical of that movie, but watching my son watch it, dude, it's like looking back in time.
Yeah.
And it accomplished its goals. I don't, whether you like that it hit those beats or not, that's fine. But it got people super excited, and it packed the theaters.
I was talking about this weekend too, and I said out of the 3, I think that was the one that I asked. They complained about him or whatever, and then I said, go back to when you left that theater, not now, not what you think about it now. Go back to when you left that theater. You were filled with excitement. You wanted to go back and watch it again 2 or 3 times. Like, that movie had excitement. That movie was like, damn, this is where we're at. And at the time, there was a lot of positive energy from that movie.
A lot.
Now, the way you look on it now, people, after you leave it, you look back on it. I'm not like immediate reaction from it. Everybody left with like positive like energy from it.
Absolutely.
And everyone that I've talked to, and even when I present it to them that way, they may not want to argue with me, but they can agree that they did at the time feel that way.
And
it wasn't until after maybe 6 to 9 months people are like, oh, it's the same thing as Star Wars. New
but
Hope.
that's the J.J. Abrams, like that's what he's so good at.
Mhm.
As much you can dislike him, all
He can
you
take
want,
off.
He can make something seem so mysterious, and you can't stop talking about it. And then, yes, it doesn't matter the project that he's working on. A few years later, you're like, well, shit, that Star Trek movie was essentially A New Hope. It even Captain Kirk stood on a canyon and watched the sunset. And they played the dramatic movie, and it had a sword that flipped up, and they had a Death Star. But at the time, it seemed really cool.
Yeah.
It's just wrapping things up. That's not his.
Mhm.
specialty.
I want to know who writes the Cal Kestis stories for Jedi Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor, because those are intriguing.
The same guys that wrote Kenobi.
Are they really?
No.
Oh well,
I'm
yeah,
just
never
saying.
mind. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, I'm on Jedi Survivor now, and I'm just like, I can't believe I care so much about this character who's just a video game character, and it's like the storytelling and the world building in it is awesome. It's awesome. I'm like, why can't the guys who are writing these games hop onto a movie or something? Like,
Look
they're
at
very
the
good
Old
storytelling.
Republic. I mean, people still love the Old Republic just from those video games.
Yep.
And not that they're bad games, because they were great games, but I mean, for what are they, like 30 years old now? And that story is still a really good story.
Yep. Well, as these video game movies are proving that they're money makers, I think we'll see something. But I mean, they need to make they need to make up their mind if they're going to do something with Cal Kestis, because I forget the guy's name, something Monahan, I think, who plays him. It's not Dominic Monahan. That's the guy from Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings.
Either way, he's not going to be getting any younger as time goes on, and it takes about 7 years for a Star Wars movie to take off. So, and I also disagree with George, because Force Awakens showed us what the Millennium Falcon is really capable of in certain scenes. That it's something I always wanted to see. Like when I saw that trailer for Force Awakens, seeing the Millennium Falcon.
Forget about it.
Yeah, I'm like, seeing it do those maneuvers that Rey did when she first got in were incredible. So, but how did she know how to fly it so well?
Who cares?
I agree. I didn't think about that myself. I agree.
It was like the whole point of the movie, The Force Awoken. It says it in the title.
Yeah.
It's not that hard of a concept.
No, but it awoke inside of Finn. It didn't awake inside of her.
It
I'm
awoke
joking.
inside of her and lots of other people at the same time. That's the way I took it.
Oh, what was I thinking? It's just the whole thing about Rey not being trained and not being able to do something. I was watching something or doing something, and there's not much training here, and that person was doing a lot more than what they should have been capable of. It's just the focus on the training.
You know what? That dinosaur dude in Attack of the Clones had a shit ton of training and was a master and got gun smoked in 3 seconds by Jango Fett.
That's true, actually. You know what? They need to do a 7-minute montage like from Rocky 4. You need to put on the music and you need to have the training
running
montage.
through the streets of Jakku, up the mountains. And, See, that's one thing that I've always, I think we get lost on in Star Wars is this focus on training, because we don't really see the examples that are put right in front of us. The Jedi trained for centuries and got their asses handed to them by one dude. So what does it matter how much training you have?
It's true.
Luke didn't really get that much training. I mean, you could say, the theory of, well, the Falcon's hyperdrive was malfunctioning, so he could have been on Dagobah for like 5 years or something. But he wasn't very good. Even if he had a ton of training on Dagobah, he still got his ass whooped by Darth Vader, which granted, most of us would.
All right, Nick Shesky and your time slippage.
Well, they'd have to travel at sublight speed. I mean, it's a given. They tell you that.
Seriously, this is not Interstellar. This is not Star Trek. Let's just let it happen. I just think one of the things I think of is like, you've seen a fat guy lift a car because he was in a moment of stress. The Force works just the same way.
Yeah, you tap into it in moments of stress and duress.
And that's why she was able to do it. She didn't know what she was doing, but she found out, hey, this fucking worked. I'm going to keep doing it.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's like in that movie Rocket Man when he's telling the guy to call him Mama or Papa or whatever when he's lifting the moon rover off of him. You guys ever see Rocket Man with that comedian?
No.
I can't think of his name. It's a hilarious movie. Disney Channel original, I think. So if anybody out there has heard of the movie Rocket Man, which I forget the name of the guy, I know he's the main voice of Bob and Puppy Dog Pals now. I forget that
Like-
comedian's name.
Like when Kylo is trying to get into her head and he tries to say things and she's like, "What the hell are you saying?" And then like she like says it back and he repeats what she says. Of course, she's going to continue doing whatever she's doing because he's repeating what she said. And he's monologuing, saying, "You're tough. You're keeping me out." Of course, she's going to keep doing it because you're telling him that it's working.
Did you hear that she's not going to be the main like storyline focus too of her new movie? She's not going to be the protagonist.
I'm not
Hey,
buying into
hey,
any of that. They
hey.
don't have shit written
No
for that
shit.
movie yet.
Hey, this isn't the point, right? So in my mind, just to give you some idea of where I'm at, this isn't the slap together shit that they're trying to buy off of George Lucas to raise the cost of the Lucasfilm. That's where they're at right now. They're nowhere near anything that's worth having any sort of in-depth discussion about.
Right, because their announcement, their official announcement, sounds to me like, and I'm not trying to be mean here or anything, but it really sounds to me like someone took one of the new Jedi Order books and just wrote down what was on the back of it and said, just go with this. This is really generic and vague, and just go with it. Just replace Luke with Rey, and we'll go from there. So I firmly believe they do not have crap, except for whatever they sold her on to get her, back.
Right?
They say 2025 or whatever, though, right?
Sure.
Countdown is on.
Sure, D-Doc.
I'm holding out hope.
They've got this whole Writers Guild strike, and then there's going to be another. There's another strike after that. I can't remember which one.
Speaking
Director's
of,
strike?
yeah, I think it's a director strike. Or it could be like the camera, like cinematography type thing. But supposedly the story that I read was, I think you shared it, was Andor is good, but they don't know about Acolyte. So Andor supposedly Gilroy got the last script in on like the 11th hour of the strike.
Mm-hmm.
So the script is good for Andor, and Andor season 2 should be good. I think Ahsoka is done, so I don't think Ahsoka's got a problem.
Ahsoka's done.
And so I think the one that's the concern would be Acolyte and where they're at in the Acolyte.
That stinks because I'm excited for Acolyte. Like, even if, even if Acolyte turns out to not be great, they're trying something different timeline-wise, like that we've never seen before in live action as far as the old school stuff goes of Star Wars. So, like, I'm excited to see them do that. And seeing some of the actors that they have in that show, I think it's going to be different. We'll see. I mean, I have too much hope. I mean, here we are. Star Wars Visions has come out. I haven't watched any of it yet, so I need to.
I watched 2 of them today.
Were they bangers?
Not really. They were, and I'm not going to say that they weren't. They just weren't for me. I'm just not a real like anime kind of guy. I'm just, I need something a little more straightforward, like the Ronin or the other one that was the Jedi and his apprentice on the mountain.
The Elder.
Yeah, I mean, I can deal with anime like that, but the first one is very. I mean, it was very cool. Don't get me wrong. And once again, I can appreciate the artistry and the talent that went into creating it. It was just like, I don't know, man. It was like, I thought, because I was eating lunch and I thought, did somebody slip me a mushroom or something? Because this shit just like went wild for a few minutes. But I don't know. I'll probably finish them up, over the course of the next 2 days.
The guy that I played my games with is a Star Wars fan, obviously, that watches the anime stuff. And he said he watched, I think, 9 of them? I think he said he watched like 7 of the 9. And I was like, whoa. He enjoyed them. He said the one from the Wallace and Gromit studio was kind of heartfelt and was pretty good. I don't know. I haven't watched them yet, but I'm interested just to see what they look like, because they look like they're completely different from the ones that they did the last time. I mean, like completely. Like I know that the different stories, different yada yada, but I think it might be more anime that I like. I wasn't really into the anime that they did last time, and that's more of the Japanese style that just did not resonate with me. So I like the fact that they're doing different types of anime and not just that Japanime.
Yeah,
I can agree with that. I think for me the hardest part is just because I'm just gonna throw it out there. I'm really fucking old, so I don't get it. And to present me with like 10 minutes of it and then go to something else, it's
Yeah.
really hard for me to like understand what's going on or to be interested in it, to follow
Yeah.
it.
And I will also say in the previous visions, my absolute favorite one was the Tatooine Rhapsody one. I know most everyone said that was their least favorite. That was my most favorite. That was the type of animation that I liked. It was that type of cartoony. It looked the most cartoony. It didn't look anime-ish. It had a fun, lighthearted story, and that's what I enjoyed. It was my favorite one. So that's the type of stuff. If they have a couple that are like that, which it looks like there's a couple that are in that style, I think I'm gonna like them. But
yeah, it's funny because for my generation, like I didn't even realize that I technically grew up an anime fan because I used to watch Pokemon, which is anime. I used to watch Dragon Ball Z, which is anime. I got into Yu-Gi-Oh, which is anime. But to
Yu-Gi-Oh.
me, oh man, I
Oh
was a
god.
Yu-Gi-Oh card guy, man.
I had
did
to
you
take
have
my
a
nephew to see that movie. That was
did
like
you have
the
a Blue
longest
Eyes
2
White
hours of my
Dragon?
life.
Oh, I had Blue Eyes White Dragon. I
The
had
Red
Dark
Eyes Black
Magician.
Dragons?
Did you have the thing that you wore on your wrist?
No, I did not.
Oh,
Hey, have you seen those two guys who are live streaming each other, battling each other with those wrist guards that are getting like over 1 million views every video they make? It's insane. It's two hardcore nerd guys who pull out the cards and put it on their armband thing. I think it's called like a. I mean, I know it was. They said it was. It's time to duel. It was a duel for Yu-Gi-Oh. Yu-Gi-Oh was just like a different version of Pokemon, essentially, except you just didn't catch
they
the
all
ability.
are a version of Pokemon. Well, I shouldn't say they all are. I feel like all of those card games are just different variations of the Pokemon card game and trying to make it work. Like Subway Surfer and Temple Run are the same damn game. You're just changing the skin on it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Brennan has such hard feelings for Temple Run and Subway Surfer. I didn't know.
They're the same damn. They're so dumb. Those games are so dumb. Give me my Royal Match and let me waste my time on Royal Match.
Royal Match. Which one is that?
I don't know. You're making picture. It's like a Candy Crush, but it's Royal Match. I don't know.
Oh yeah, I know that one.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm on.
did you guys
I'm on
hit
level
the,
like 4,300 or something.
Did you guys get the message I sent to the group chat about my game today? The
Yeah,
Galaxy
did it ever
Quest?
come back up? So talk
It-
a little bit about that.
It did for a little. Okay, so this game I've been playing for, I don't know, probably over 5 years.
I was gonna say it's at least 2 because I remember
Yeah.
like when we first started doing this, we had the pool party at Joe's and you were talking about it.
So, like any game, there's this whole free to play versus being a whale and, buying your team, all that stuff. But so they've been building up that there was going to be this massive overhaul of the game today. It was going to go live today, which is May the 4th, which typically is one of the few days where they have amazing deals that if you're going to spend a little bit of money, it's worthwhile because you can get a lot of stuff for, a fraction of what you usually spend. And then every mode of the game, all the rewards are doubled. So as the way the game works, like today, Saw Gerrera came out. So he'll be put on one of the maps and you have to keep fighting the Saw Gerrera. You can fight it like 5 times a day, basically, and get with the hopes of getting more cards of his to build your character up and keep leveling up. So today is a double drop day. So if you play the Saw Gerrera, you're going to get 2 for 1 every time. So it's another incentive. If you don't spend a lot of money on the game, today's like a day you want to spend money. And all this hype, it goes live and it immediately crashes. And it was down for hours today. And people were just losing their minds because you have all of this new content, all of the deals, all the double drops, everything, and you can't even log into the game. And then you could tell they could fix the bug for a little bit, and then something new would happen, and then the game would crash again, be down for hours. Oh yeah, over and over again. Oh, that's what I'm talking about.
Look at that. If you're watching on YouTube, which if you're listening to us, you should also watch on YouTube because we're visual guys as well now. Brent is showing us Boba Fett's throne that Alfie got 3D printed, and Brent is painting for him, and I can't wait to see how this thing turns out. That's just primer, right, Brent?
Yeah. I just threw a coat of primer on. I went out to the garage to grab it. So when I go upstairs, I can take it to the paint station. So here's a question for you, Alfie, and this is a question for Dr. Squatch since he likes to listen too. Every picture that I can find, I'm thinking that was about the Tatooine Rhapsody, the Dr. Squatch comment.
Yes.
So every picture that I can find of this Boba Fett throne, he's sitting on it, but it looks like, and I don't know if you can see, it looks like it's a cushion.
Yes.
But I can't see a color on the cushion because his ass is on it the entire time. So what color do you want the cushion to be?
I don't know.
Right.
Hold on, I'm working here. I'm working.
Yeah, because those should have been separate pieces, but like I said, he ended up printing it
No, it's
all in
fine.
one piece. Yeah.
I mean, they're all whether you would still assemble it, but the question is what color do you want it? So I know I think you're gonna use it to pose your Boba Fett.
Oh yeah.
But why wouldn't you? There was a picture that I found as far as like a I don't know what they call it, an establishing picture or whatever that had Fennec Shan standing next to it too. Her sitting on the arm with him with his leg kicked over it. So I mean, I know what to do, and I have an idea of what to do for the entirety of the stone and the guild work in the front. It's just I can never find a picture of the cushion. Do you want it to be like a red? See, can you see the cushion on that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
D-Dot, can you zoom in to get to the cushion underneath his booty?
That's about the closest I can go there.
Yeah.
I can probably see.
I mean, if you go to another one, and so I was going to do gold with the faces, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I was going to try to do like some old worn gold on the faces. And then it's like a sandstone color for the chair, but I just don't know what to do on that cushion. My buddy that I played with is a painter. He said green, like an army green, like a deep green, but I don't know if there's, I couldn't find a reference image. That's what I was looking for earlier that had the color of the seat. Because everything else has imposed on it, which I'm cool with, but it's just see, D-Doc, you can't find one, can you? There's one. All right, and pull that one up, can you? I didn't see that, so at least they're out there, so I can find one. That looks like it's black for my eyes. Anyways.
Yeah, that one has black. I guess almost like a black leather, I guess.
Yeah, like a leather. I could do like a dark leather. Yeah, who's got the Lego set? Who's a Lego guy that collects Legos crap? What color is the Lego chair? The chair on the Lego guy. I'm just gonna say what Dr. Squatch said. I'm coming at you, D-Doc. You probably have the set.
Well, I don't have this one actually.
Oh, you don't? Oh, okay.
No, I'm underwhelmed by this set, honestly.
Okay.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, I mean, do you see that? It's pretty much just like with
like a tan leather
sitting on
okay,
it.
I can do a leather.
Yeah, I thought that set was overpriced. I have a love-hate relationship with Lego right now. We've been having some issues. You're muted, Alfie, if you're talking to us.
I'm sending you a picture right now, Brent.
All right. Just trying to get that right because I couldn't find one with a good reference image, so I was trying to debate
Yeah, I
what to do
wasn't
for
gonna
that
be
chair.
overly
And I'm
critical
sure
of it.
I'm sure you're not picky, or I'm sure you wouldn't be picky, but I was just curious what you would want. What is
I
that?
I still have Tamora Morrison's head sitting on my desk at all times from the Boba Fett that
Oh,
I
because you can model
the
them without the helmet.
the model.
Okay.
Yeah, you can. I gotta paint. I gotta like do his skin color, which to me is just like I've always had a hard time making skin color look natural. So I need to work on that. And I just look at that. I still have. It doesn't matter how much you wash this off from tiling, man. This stuff just stays
So
on your fingers.
So Tamora's is a little bit darker than normal, but I have found Army
That's from
Painter Army Painter has created a new line. They call them speed paints. They're kind of like contrast paints. So you could use a Citadel paint. So if you go to your paints like a toy hobby shop, there's the Citadel brand that they use to paint Warhammer figures.
Oh Jesus.
There's a one called Reichland Flesh Shade, which gives it like a little bit of a pinkish flesh shade color.
Okay.
There's one from Army Painter now. If the same place should sell Army Painter paints, and there's one called gosh darn it, it's a flesh shade as well, but that's the one that I like, the Army Painter one. I used to just paint like mix up browns with a little bit of like I have like a flesh color which is like a peach, so put a brown and a peach together to give it like that hue.
Yes. Yeah, I have this one. It's Flump Flump Pink. This is from Army Painter. It was a
Yeah.
Dungeons and Dragons one that I got, which works. But then there's
So
like blending and
like
stuff.
pink, yeah, pink is a little bit too light for what you want to do for skin tone.
Yeah. I'm currently
yeah.
in production of another Mando model kit right now too. So I'm building Din Djarin currently. That one's
Is that one all? Are you painting that one, or does that one come like
This
already
is-
painted?
this is like it comes with different different sprues or different colors. Like I'll show you right here. Like you have your brown ones, your silver ones. This isn't like a metallic silver. It's kind of a flat silver, so it's not like true Mando colors, which
Gotcha.
they just added pieces of this onto Boba Fett's. So there's so many extra pieces that come with this that I can have some fun with some of these pieces because they just added like a couple extra things in to change Mando to Boba Fett
Yeah.
because you can see how many extra leg pieces you have here too. So things are a blast to build, man. I really like they've almost taken over. Like I still love Lego, but I can get just as much fun out of building one of these for $30 usually is the cost of one of those figures.
Yeah.
And to me, they're even more detailed than Black Series if you can put a good paint job on it. I painted the original Boba Fett, which like not every piece is painted, but I did like the weathering. I did the stripes on his helmet and everything. And this one was the first one I ever did. That's like what made me fall in love with doing them.
I did that one.
That thing is on sale for like $12 right now, which is like the biggest steal of all time for a freaking Bandai model. I'm about to buy another one just to build it again. Like it's a crazy deal. It's a crazy deal.
You should paint it, prime it all up, and then paint it a different color from the Mando show.
Well, there's a guy I follow on YouTube called Boylai Hobby Time, which he just has an incredible page of him making custom dioramas, which he uses a lot of.
Is he the one that did the trench run or not the trench on Hoth? He's got the 3 separate. There's a guy that just recently did one that using the Star Wars Legion models. He did. It's
3
hard.
Different battles, right?
Yeah, and he had the Hoth troopers, and then he had it all wired up with the blaster bolts.
Yeah, he's used Legion stuff a lot. He has his own series that he does called it's almost like a I don't know, a futuristic Wild West where it's like
So you saw the one with the snapping turtle underneath the water then too?
Oh yeah. Yeah, he makes some really cool stuff, man. I've been following that guy for a while. And like he just I don't
I-
know. He just has some really good ideas. Like even when it doesn't have to do with Star Wars, I'm in on it. Star Wars is what led me to him. But
Right. I pretty much don't watch television anymore. I just like surf tube and watch hobby stuff and my games and battle reports and dude, it's disgusting. I know.
see, I'm into your world, Brent. I only dip my toe into it. I only do it every so often because like I don't know. I'm all over the place. I'm into too many different things because it's
Yeah.
like I'll do a Bondi model and then I'll do like a Lego and then I want to do some woodworking and then I'm like all over the place. I have too many hobbies. but I'm
I don't have
mediocre at a
enough
lot of
time
them.
or money. I don't have time or money. Like I would love to get into some of the other tabletop games, but I have no time or money to be able to get into them. All right, enough about me wasting time about painting toys. Let's get to the real stuff of painted toys because I know we've gone about an hour and 15 minutes, but we really haven't talked much about May the 4th because we really didn't dive into anything that was released except for I'll let you guys talk. We were joking before we started. We were like, what are we going to talk about? I said it'll be easy. I will say 2 words. Toy time. And then you guys go.
That one right there. Oh, goodness gracious. Darth Malgus.
Is that Malgus?
Yeah.
That thing is sick. I'm not really familiar with Darth Malgus, honestly.
Is
but
he?
that thing
He's not
is
the one with the
sick.
breather, right? No.
Yeah.
One of
but
them has a breather.
He does at some point. Because I know in my game he has a breather,
Yes,
and
he
I
has the
thought
breather.
in the Old Republic game in the cutscenes he had a breather.
There he does, right there.
Yep.
That's the way I know him because he,
Okay, I know
Mark
who
Thompson,
he is then.
Mark Thompson's voice for him is awesome. It's almost like Bane. Like his voice is almost like Mark Thompson doing an impersonation of the Batman Bane. It's awesome.
That figure is dope.
I
I'm
believe
gonna
it's
say it.
Deception. I believe he's the main character in Deception, which is one of the Old Republic expanded novels written by our friend Drew Karpyshyn and I believe narrated by our friend Mark Thompson. I like the fact that he's actually got a necktie on. It doesn't look like that shitty one that they threw together for Black Chrysanthemum. That one was terrible. This one actually looks pretty cool with the choker on him.
Yes, they did Chrysanthemum a justice too. They know that it sucked and they totally redid it. This is a great clone figure here, I think.
Yeah, another clone.
Right?
Just like the last clone.
Because that's the
removable
whole
helmet.
idea of the
Removable
clones, isn't it?
helmet. Removable helmet.
You know what? And you know what pisses me off about the clone troopers? The same with the stormtroopers. They always release one with every wave, and you never can find it anywhere. And I know, well, why don't you just pre-order it? Well, that's because I have a personal thing about no longer pre-ordering anything. So I only buy what I can find.
Wicket. Let's talk about Wicket for a second. Right.
Oh my gosh, look at this box. It's amazing.
Look at that box art.
They just released an archive of him.
They did. They're reboxing so much shit right now, man.
Like how many Ahsoka Tano's like that do there have to be?
I just got this Lando for $7, and they threw him in the Return of the Jedi box, and they're selling him for $25 to $30 now. Again, I just got this for $7 because they just did an archive series on this figure. It's a great figure. I would buy this one for full price because I think it's sweet. You got the removable helmet, and it's a great head sculpt of Lando. But yeah, the fact that I saw it back on the shelves in new packaging just really cracked me up, man.
So the Ewoks are going to be released for my game. They haven't told us what timeline, but we know that they're coming. They're coming sometime this summer, so probably June or July. They showed a card of Wicket, so you can run Wicket as a commander for the Ewoks. And so the game runs on keywords. So this keyword triggers this keyword does this. So every unit has a keyword, just like your Galaxy of Heroes. I'm sure there are keywords that you look for synergies between things. Wicket has 12 keywords on his, like the smallest figure, the smallest commander has 12 different keywords. A Jedi only has like 4. He's more complicated and has more tricks up his sleeve than Jedi.
That's crazy.
freaking wicked.
My game is kind of the same because the longer the game runs,
Yeah, I know.
new characters that come out, like Saw Gerrera just came out today, and he has a bunch of them.
Yeah, and they got to make them something. They got to make something distinguishable. They got to make it play a little bit different.
Right.
They want to make them thematic, but it doesn't necessarily match with the keywords that they already have. So they got to throw in a little bit of a little razzmatazz to
Right,
keep people
so
interested.
Going with the picture that you just showed, there's 3 different Ahsoka Tano's on my game. And the latest to come out is Commander Ahsoka Tano. So basically like season 7 Clone Wars. And she has so many synergies. But then like Boba Fett is only a bounty hunter and a scoundrel. He's like not even a Mandalorian anymore. He has no synergy with Mandalorians whatsoever.
Is that fabric that's trying to make them look like ghosts,
Yes,
or is
I
that
think
like
it's-
plastic?
It's a fabric, and there's also a mixture of translucent arms and legs to make them look like the Force Ghost. You can see it on Kenobi here. I think this is a cool little set for $78. There's no way in hell I'm gonna buy it, but
It's too
I think
expensive.
it's cool.
So if you're watching, anybody that's watching on YouTube, we're looking at, what is this, the Star Wars, or is this Hasbro Pulse's website?
Yeah.
Yes.
So we're looking at the Hasbro Pulse website. There is he's pulled up a couple images. This one is an image of Hayden Christensen and old Obi-Wan Kenobi and Yoda as the Force Ghosts. It's a set that they're trying to sell, like on Return of the Jedi at the very end. Ooh, he's pulling up another, like, it looks like it's a Black Series helmet. It's, what is it, 130, and it is the 332nd, I believe, is the numbers.
Yeah.
It's the Ahsoka Tano clone helmet.
That is sick, man. That is dope.
I painted one of my clone teams with the 332nd. That was hard.
Those helmets, though, they've just gotten so expensive. When they were underneath $100, I could justify it, especially when you could catch them on sale. But
this is the Ahsoka paint job.
I know, but
It's a badass paint job. Is the only reason why I say that. That's you won't hear me say that a lot, but that's a badass paint job.
I've said it before, and I'll always say this: $99.99 is comfortable for me. You go 100, and now you just price me.
Absolutely, I agree. $99.99 definitely is a comfort number.
Now you take any action figure and you keep it under $30, I'm going to buy it. But once
even at $29.99,
$29.99, you go above that, and I'm going to be pacing up and down the aisle. My wife's going to be making fun of me. I just can't do it. It's too tough, especially when you see like that Paz Vizsla that was $34.99 or whatever, and then I find it for $7. It's like, I just can't do it anymore.
I'm reading one of Dr. Squatch's comments right now. All I want is a clone helmet. Stormtrooper Black Series used to be $50 from time years ago. Can't justify it now, despite my desire for it. I agree. I mean, I've been seeing this Bo-Katan helmet collecting dust at my Target, and it's like, I would love to have it, but I think Hasbro just has their hand on this dial, and every time they release something, they're just like, they just keep turning that dial up and seeing how far they can push Star Wars fans. I mean, $78 for that 3-figure set. Yoda is this big. Like, you can't justify over $20 a cost when Yoda's this big. You can't tell me that it's costing you that much. I mean, okay, he's got the fabric on it. Okay, Jabba the Hutt Black Series. Are you going to spend $90 on a Jabba the Hutt figure?
Absolutely.
It's not Jabba though. It's not just Jabba though. It's got Salacious Crumb there.
I know that's true actually.
And he's got his frogwater hookah pipe.
That is so gross. Reaches in and grabs his frogs.
You know what's another thing too? I always thought that Salacious Crumb bit Jabba's tail at one point in Return of the Jedi because he's looking at it because he wants to bite it. I thought he does bite it at one point. Does he bite it in something else? Is it in Phantom Menace actually when they're about to start the pod race?
No. Jabba bites the head off of a frog and spits it
Yes.
at the gong.
He wants to bite his tail, though. You can see him looking at it, just like this thing's moving around
Something-
a little bit.
About that sounds familiar. Maybe it was deleted.
You've got the Royal Guard, which is sold out.
Yeah, that's a nice looking one.
They look so wrong to me
Whoa.
without their robe on, dude.
Yeah,
Put
but
your
now you can
clothes
see. Sure, I'm with you, but at the same time, now you can see the evolution to the Praetorian Guard.
True.
Right? I've never actually seen them without the iconic version of them is with their robe on. I've never really seen them without the robe on.
Yeah, they're that's another cool figure. I mean, there's a lot of stuff to like here. This Luke, I'm going to actually
Forget about it.
yeah, tonight I'm actually going to order the Luke from The Mandalorian because that is on Amazon, and that's going to be the first ever. See, this comes in the Return of the Jedi box, that special box where you can actually change his chest plate to the opened or unopened on his robe, which is a little interesting. I mean, I guess that's it's a $25 figure. That's very reasonable to me. I'm buying that in
I'm
a
buying
split
that one.
second. I'd probably buy this Vader in a second too, just because I love the box. If I can bring it up here,
And the removable helmet.
yeah, you got the box, you got the removable helmet, you got a removable hand, which is awesome, and it's a very highly detailed figure. It looks great.
Just be careful with that hand and maybe make sure no kid swallows it.
Yes, that's true. Don't worry. My stuff is off limits. They know some of the stuff. They know what they're allowed to mess with and what they're not allowed to mess with.
So
Yeah, that one right there. Woo-hoo.
This
Atomic
is on
Mass-
sale on Amazon right now.
Look at that box art. Atomic Mass Games has created a diorama of the Kenobi Vader fight, and it's the Kenobi from Kenobi and Vader. So they're like across from each other, like the fire duel.
It's actually not on sale. Yeah, I love those dioramas. Like, I plan on making a diorama soon. It's just a matter of learning how to
Nerd.
solder these LED lights. I need to get into that because I want to have the light up. Lightsabers and stuff that you can do that I've seen on that guy's Boy Light Hobby Time. Now, have you guys ever seen Team America World Police? Because doesn't Luke's
Yes.
face look like he's from that movie on the
I
cover
mean,
of
all
this?
of these characters look like they're from Team America.
But he looks like that face on the cover of our
Looks
beautiful
like
box
Gary.
art here.
Was that his name?
Yeah, the
Gary.
main guy in it.
Team America. Yeah.
Those are bestsellers. Yeah. So I mean, this Cad Bane is freaking awesome. I would love to have it in 2 years when it finally releases. March 1st, 2024. From Book of Boba Fett.
Are we gonna go through every one of these, D-Dot?
No, we're not. We're about to end.
So, did anybody else buy anything today for get any good May the 4th deals?
No, I'm going to after this show.
I was actually disappointed. I thought they would have more stuff for my game that would be discounted, but there's not.
Did you look on Amazon?
Yeah, Amazon didn't have much. They had this. They had things that were like the reason why they're discounted is because no one bought them, and they have
No.
massive supplies of them. Yeah, they didn't have
Wow.
much.
I was
I'm-
excited to send them to you.
I've been accumulating these for a while for the right day, so some of these might be getting used. People get me Amazon gift cards for certain events, and I just sit them here, and they just collect dust until the right moment. So we'll see.
I think
Some of
we've
them might
reached
be
that
used
moment.
tonight.
Yeah, but even if you buy them now, none of these are available, right?
I'm not
No.
pre-ordering anything. I can't deal with the pre-order. The only thing I ever had a pre-order on, and it drove me absolutely batshit crazy, was this Mandalorian helmet. And waiting for that.
What
to
about
show up.
Boba Fett helmet? Did you put a pre-order down on a Boba Fett helmet?
I did.
Hey,
It was a trial for sure.
oh my God.
Oh,
Dr. Squatch just said, I want to grab a Lego set today. Couldn't find any deals worthwhile. mostly just in the real pricey sets. Yeah, the only deals that they have today are VIP point rewards for Legos, and the sets that they absolutely swung and missed on are highly discounted today, and people still don't want them. So,
Right. And that's kind of the same thing with like Legion stuff. It's like, yeah, you're discounting the stuff that's already like not really selling.
Yeah.
So it's not really worth it. The stuff that's selling is not getting a major cut.
Yeah, fans when fans don't like something, they don't buy it. And I've seen plenty of Lego sets that even when they're hitting the discounts, like that Boba Fett throne room, the problem with that set is you can't spin it around and display it as Jabba's palace. It just does not look good like that. And previously on Jabba's palace, you could spin it around and it would be displayable that way as well. And I don't know, Lego they tend to cut some corners with Star Wars anymore, and fans see it. They're not stupid. So like, some people will buy stuff, but I don't know. That's the way of the world today. Some things are just very overpriced, and then you can get it at a steeply discounted price, and people just sometimes just still choose not to buy it.
I didn't understand the big Justifier set. I could not
No.
see anyone really knowing what the hell that ship was or what it was from.
Yeah, and
In
what's your
4-3.
exclusive figure with it? I think it's Omega is your exclusive
Yeah.
figure.
Omega,
And Cad Bane, of course.
Cad Bane, and Fennec Shand.
Yeah, there's also some design details on that ship too, where from the sides there's see-through points on it that people aren't happy with. That's some of the stuff that I watch on the YouTubes. Similar to Brent. My wife doesn't get it, but I have my subscriptions, man, and I'm absolutely entertained by watching all the creators that I follow on YouTube.
I mean, it's better than the television stuff that I watch nowadays. So it's like, why would I watch news when I can watch that?
Also, I'm learning most of the time that I'm on there. I'm finding something that I want to create or build and learning it from someone else. So
Yeah, you could ask me, some very in-depth questions about building, maintaining an aquarium or a pond, filtration, water purification. Do I have an aquarium? No, but do I watch nonstop videos on people who do? Absolutely. I'm, probably semi-professional at keeping and handling reptiles, but do I have any? Absolutely not.
The power of YouTube, baby. The power of YouTube.
I mean, heck, my car, I'm going to have to try to clean my carburetor out again in my, not my car, in my lawnmower. I'm going to have to watch a YouTube video on that again because I watched it and it helped me once, but it's starting to do the same crap again.
That's what I do, man. That's what I'm there for. Dave Doc DIY, baby. But I haven't been creating enough content lately. I'm having video block, writer's block. I'm doing all kinds of projects, but I just sometimes just don't feel like recording it. Don't know what to say. It's weird.
Do we have anything else on May the 4th? I didn't mean to cut off all the toys, but you were just pulling up every single one of them and going through every single picture.
Because they're beautiful.
They're plastic toys. They're not beautiful. My stuff is beautiful.
Did you not see all that box art?
That's true. The box art was gorgeous.
Oh, you know what? Here,
but they're going back, right? Hasbro, the fans won. They're going back eventually, right? It probably won't be
recycled plastic now,
right? So it'll be like January before they start actually putting it back on the shelves.
Here's Chrysanthemum's Redemption. That is
okay. That's better.
Better.
That is the one that they put out early right after the show was terrible.
It was Chewbacca.
That was a very bad decision because that was not the Book of Boba Fett Black Chrysanthemum. That was from a comic book.
$45, man. Are you kidding me? $45.
But it's got Yoda on his backpack.
Look at the details on that rock.
It does have a tactical rock. You got to have the Oh, look, he can jump. He's jumping for the frogs.
I'll tell you what. I recently rewatched this scene. Just like looked it up on YouTube, just because I wanted to show it to my little guy because I haven't watched Mandalorian.
What, the Raising the Frogs?
I showed him Luke training Grogu, And honestly, watching back on that, I think Luke's voice is horrible in it.
Yeah.
I think it's really bad, in my opinion.
But that's
actually.
also probably because you just got done watching Return of the Jedi and you have a good comparison between the two.
It was the
if you-
day of.
And you've listened to countless people say that his voice is bad and it doesn't quite match up. And
I haven't
look for this
actually.
and look for that. And then you're like, oh my God, this is fucking terrible. They were right.
I haven't listened to that stuff because really the main people I listen to are us when we're talking about it. But I did rewatch it and I'm just like, I don't know. I'm not in on the face swapping and AI voiceovers.
Since they now live on a lava planet, Navarro, do you think that Mando made a little koi pond for Grogu and then went and got some frogs?
Did
Put
you
'em in
see?
there.
Okay, so hold up. This has just hit me.
I
I don't
think
know why
so.
we didn't talk about it. The Jack Black episode.
Yeah.
They had the frog people.
Yes. At the table.
That was the same frog people because their species was dying out. That was the whole point. So
Right.
that had to be the same frog people from season 2.
I don't think it necessarily would have to be. I think they were making the point that reproducing and keeping their line going was hard. Now,
Well, it is hard.
What
when
does that
Grogu
mean?
tries to eat them.
right. I
I'm
don't know.
saying it's the
We
same.
don't know
ones.
why it was so difficult.
I'm
Was the
saying it's the
planet
same ones.
destroyed? You know, do they have a low survival rate?
I'm saying it's
I
the
don't
same
know.
ones.
Yeah, I'm with you. There's no reason why it couldn't be the same ones.
This is a Lego set worth picking up. I forgot that I recently got
This is a Star Wars show, though. That's Indiana Jones.
Lucasfilm, baby. Lucasfilm. Lucasfilm Disney. That's what it is right there. This set is so worth the money. Like it was like $35 or something. Lego was drunk when they made the price on this one. It's a heavy box. So I'm excited for that one.
Okay, since you brought up the Jack Black episode, let me ask another question. Do you think the Mandos will go back to him since he knows how to build dome cities?
Did he build the Dome City, or was that just him because
Was it
he
the
married
droids?
Lizzo? He married Lizzo, right? So he was a reformed Imperial. So he just moved into there.
Okay, let me rephrase this a little bit because I knew you were going to say that, and that's not exactly what I meant. He is the whatever leader of a civilization of people that knows how to build dome cities. Is that a better way to phrase it?
Do I think they will go back there on screen? Probably not. But do I think they might go back there to try to get help? Sure.
I think it's
I think it'll be fun. I'm willing to see
Because-
more Jack Black in Star Wars.
I don't know how much they want to pay Jack Black and Lizzo. Like, do they want to sign him for another
Oh
show?
yeah, you don't actually have to go back there. I just think it would be a nice connection
Yeah.
when you go to season 3 or 4 or whatever. Say, oh yeah, remember the Duchess and that guy? He helped us out.
All right, guys. I mean, I think we're ready to kind of put a wrap on our May the 4th show. I think we hit on a lot of points, not necessarily all Star Wars and stuff. I mean, I don't know. We kind of had a little, as I said before the episode, we were just going to have some fun and talk about everything under the two suns.
Were we going to get to the fun?
Oh, terrible! Both of you guys.
I need the
Both of you
drum.
guys. Both of you guys are terrible.
I have all
That's
these
my stick, though.
songs.
That's
Ah,
what I go with.
I know the dad joke puns are just awful.
I could while away the hours, conferring with the flowers, consulting with the rain.
I just want to say that I don't know who Dr. Squatch is, but the man is an absolute legend because anytime that we're on, he stays through the whole show.
He rides hardcore with
True.
us.
He is a ride or die Rule the Galaxy fan, and I love you, Dr. Squatch.
He's for the highest of the highs and the lowest of the lows.
Yes, I agree. Squatch is ride or die. Squatch is a top RTG fan. We love Squatch. He actually had the funniest comment early when he was talking about when we were talking about keyboard warriors, and he said, "Where is it?" He said, "That's true, Brent. Especially true for people who operate under an alias on social media. I hate those guys."
What do you mean? You're really not a doctor?
No, that is his actual image right there.
Okay.
He is a Wookiee doctor with a clone trooper helmet.
His first name is Harry and his last name is Henderson.
Gosh,
You're the best, Squatch. We love you too.
I don't know if there's
Thank
many
you.
people who get that reference.
The Harry and the Hendersons?
That's an old movie, man. That's a real niche market
man.
right there.
I loved that movie when I was growing up. I thought it was great.
I went to the movies to see that D-Doc as a little guy.
That was like a Disney Channel movie. That
Oh
would
my
run when I
God.
a
It was in the
kid.
Disney Channel for him, Alfie. It was on the Disney Channel.
That's like the post I saw the other day asking what it was like to see episode 1 in the theater. Episode 1, really?
Hey, that's where we're at, man. I mean, my kids are probably going to be asking me what it was like to watch The Force Awakens in the theater. Jesus, craziness. Well,
All right.
let's do some final thoughts from you guys. Brent, why don't we start with you? Final thoughts. May the 4th, wrapping up the show.
I mean, I'm more of a Saturday. See, okay, so I guess I'm going to wrap it up with one question. Is it Revenge of the 5th or Revenge of the 6th? Because I feel it's Revenge of the 6th.
Well, May 5th is Cinco de Mayo, so I think Revenge of the 6th makes more sense.
Because I'm kind of going to celebrate Revenge of the 6th a little bit. But yeah. No, I enjoy it. Like, there's a bunch of guys that I work with that know that I am a Star Wars fan and made it a point to say Happy Star Wars Day or May the 4th be with you. I said it to one guy and he said always, which I got a kick out of too. So it's a good time. More and more people are starting to find out how deep my Star Wars passion is. So yeah. Other than that, I just enjoy escaping into a world far, far away, and it's fun to not have. It's interesting to not have anything to talk about show-wise because it's been a while. I feel like since we haven't talked about a show. But as always, we can fill about an hour and a half, 2 hours of just shooting the crap about Star Wars.
Absolutely, I agree. Couldn't say it better myself. What do you got, Alfie?
I'm with Brent. I'm the Star Wars guy at work, so it's fun to have a day like this where everyone really goes out of their way to say something about Star Wars to you. It's always a fun day to, just like we were doing, looking at all the stuff that's coming out or trying to find a really good deal. I think I found 2 today, so I'm happy about that. And hopefully we'll be talking next May the 4th.
Absolutely, baby. Yeah, I mean, same here. I got the texts from people today. May the 4th be with you. It's people know you're the Star Wars guy. They like to send you that text, and it's always a fun day. Even my mom said it to me, which she just has no clue about Star Wars, but she knows it's May the 4th. So I don't know. That's the kind of stuff that makes it fun, and that's what makes it fun to be a part of the fan base. As we were saying earlier, I mean, it really is a good fan base. You just got to not pay attention to some of the negative nonsense that happens. It really is a group of good people, especially like people like Dr. Squatch, who's hanging for us for this whole show. So from D-Doc, from Brent, from Alfie, you guys can follow us at Rule the Galaxy SW on Twitter. You can email us at rulethegalaxy@gmail.com. Does it have an SW?
It does have an SW.
I'm sorry, I haven't wrapped up a show for a while, actually. I missed last week, and it's like I feel this emptiness when you don't have that 1 week. It's like Brent said, we can meet up here once a week, and we can just talk Star Wars, and it can just keep going. It's great. So, thank you guys for following World of the Galaxy podcast. Until the next time, happy May the 4th, and may the Force be with you.